Welcome to Bonus Boss, the gaming podcast brought to you by CruelFan.com. I'm Benny Ulich, and with me, once again, is Ryan Collins.
Hey, cheers. How's it going, guys? Hey, so just a reminder, this episode of the podcast is sponsored by Ice Shaker. I got mine right here. Ice Shaker is a interesting product, a cool, different way to keep your beverages cool. This is a 26 ounce. It's a little bit different than the other styles. It has a straw cap, but you can also get one that's more of a shaker type style, but it keeps your beverages cold for over 24 hours, sometimes even 30 hours, depending on what you got in there. If you got ice and water, can keep it well over 40 hours cold. So go to the link in the description, check out Ice Shaker. A lot of cool products that they have up there, different product lines besides just shaker styles. Check them out in the description, Ice Shaker.
All right, so what have you been playing this week so far?
This week I've been playing a lot of MLB, mainly because the MLB playoffs are starting soon, so I'm kind of been playing a lot of baseball. Still playing Ghost of Tsushima, but I'm not like, the funny thing is, like, I'm not good at MLB. I'm a lot better at hockey games, but I think that's kind of why I play it, is because I get so frustrated that I like want to be better at it. But it is very challenging, very hard game. Especially the hitting. Pitching, you can kind of like get around guys, and depending on who you're playing. I only play online now, and I play a thing called Diamond Dynasty, which is basically like, however good you do in the game, you get cards or like players afterwards to make your team better, kind of thing. A lot of games have that now, to build your own team and everything. So
it's kind of a cool feature. Like, I like that some sports stuff has applied it, where like the more you play, the better. It's like a leveling system almost. Like
yeah.
you can improve your party or your team or whatever. And I think that's a cool feature.
Yeah, I think it's something that perhaps games could get back to doing more besides just sports games. Like, I think that even, I've been actually even like buying a lot of baseball cards lately, and getting back to things like that I did a lot when I was a kid that I don't really do anymore. And I think that one way that, like Call of Duty, for example, they could utilize, maybe if they actually wanted people to go out and buy the games, like buy a physical game. If you went out and bought the game, you get like more of a special. Besides, I know they give like some weapons away and stuff when you do that, when you download the game early or whatever, if you pre-order or something. But I think they could even do like more, and maybe give out like special trading card or something like that in the physical game that you could then use for like special weapons that nobody else can get, because it always seems like they give away a weapon and then you can get it anyway in the game.
Yeah.
It like works out. So maybe something like that. Anyway, that's my little piece on what games could do to get a little bit more. But
yeah, so I've been playing a little more Super Hot, like I have been, and then I started I guess to get into October a little early, I started playing Dead Rising.
oh yeah.
I mean, it's fun. It's challenging though. I'm not very good at it. And then like I have been for a few months now, I've been playing The Last of Us Part 2 on Twitch, and I wanted to get into that a little bit.
Yeah.
I am so tired of this game. Okay.
I noticed in your last stream, like when I was watching it, I was like, oh, he just wants this to be over at this point. And like, I can understand that feeling just when you like think a game is ending and then they just drag it out. It's like, okay, let's get on with it.
It's a good game. And there was a lot of controversy around it. A lot of people didn't like spoilers. People didn't really like that you play as Abby for the second half of the game. I didn't mind it. I thought it was a cool way to kind of make her sympathetic, and it doesn't necessarily erase what she did earlier in the game, but like you see her in a new light, and I appreciate that part of it. It's good storytelling. The gameplay is a lot of fun. The story is really neat. But yeah, for one thing, it feels like it should have ended three
Yeah.
or four times already.
Yeah,
Like
that
there's
that
just
scene
several
when they're
points.
like at the house and like she's just walking around the house like at the last stream that you did, I
Yeah,
was like, this just seems so pointless at this point. Like, what do you do? Like, go pet the dog. Like, go, like
yeah.
outside, sit on the tractor. Like, and
Go
that would have
put the
been,
sheep in the in the
yeah,
barn. Like, you kidding me?
yeah,
I thought the scene where they were sitting on the tractor, her and the
yeah.
baby, and they're looking at the sunset,
Oh
that had
yeah,
to be it. That
I
was
know.
gonna be
Yeah,
the
yeah,
ending. And then it wasn't. And
yeah,
I'm just like, but that's not the thing that I'm the most mad about. It's these stupid glitches
yeah.
that nobody else seems to be having quite as much. Like, I Googled it, I tried figuring out fixes. Other people have had similar issues, but I'm not finding anything reported where it's quite as bad as mine are.
Oh yeah, your
Because
glitches
it's
are hilarious.
consistent. It's consistent. It's not one time, and it's been ever since I started playing as Abby.
Yeah,
Whole Ellie playthrough was fine. Once I start playing as Abby, I'm falling through the floor, or if somebody's sitting down, they don't walk, they float away,
yeah.
or whatever. It's just stupid. And the gameplay goes fine, but then the cutscenes are just stupid. And
Hey,
sometimes I don't even know what's happening. Like,
it's kind of fun. Yeah, that's the part that gets annoying is like when the dialogue starts messing up too.
yeah,
It's like if it was one thing, if it was just like on screen, it'd be kind of fine. Like, oh, like doesn't really make sense or whatever. But since it's like the dialogue too, it's like infuriating.
yeah. And I'm getting really mad. And I hope that it's a little more entertaining for
Yeah.
people on the outside, because I'm just getting pissed off.
Yeah, the funny thing is that the gameplay is like fine. It's
Yeah.
just the cutscenes that like nobody can like. The funny part was the last one. Did you see like the baby was like floating in the
Yeah.
air? Like,
Yeah.
uh,
And like, there were so many scenes where it was like, this would be so impactful
yeah,
if it weren't for her arm going through her face.
yeah, right, yeah,
You know, like she's having PTSD, right? But I just had a really bad glitch where now she's floating to the ground.
I know, yeah, yeah,
And it's just, I can't.
yeah. It's weird. I mean, the only thing I can say is use the power of Twitter. Sometimes if you put a little clip out there, tweet
a
at
good
the
point.
game, see like what you can do, see what they will say back if they say anything, because sometimes
I gotta get some of these clips downloaded. So
yeah.
that's a good idea. That's a good idea.
Yeah, because it is pretty hilarious. Like,
It is.
and there's got to be other people that are having this issue. Like, it doesn't really make much sense why
No,
like it would be happening to you.
I was scared that it was my PlayStation.
Yeah.
So I went and I got it, like I opened it up and dusted it and everything and like took care of it.
Yeah.
It's not my PlayStation. I
Yeah.
swear to you, it's not my PlayStation.
Yeah. Yeah, the only other thing I could think is like memory, but you have enough space in there. You looked at that, right?
Yeah, yeah. I cleared it. I did a factory reset and
Oh, my
everything.
God, yeah.
I needed to fix this and it didn't work. Right after that factory reset, the next time I streamed, I was like, oh, it's going a lot better. And it seemed like it was. And then right at the end, there was this like scene where it started glitching again. I'm like, oh, well, I guess not.
Yeah. Yeah, the last time the glitches were like the worst I've seen it. It was bad. It's just like you had no idea what was going on in the cutscene. Like it could be like anything was happening because the baby's like floating, she's like having a mental breakdown, but like you can't really get that from what's happening. Like
there's a few characters where I don't know if they're dead or not because it was glitching out so bad. Like the bit where the sister dies.
Yeah.
Right? Like I think the leader might have died too, but I didn't actually get to see it.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. That's funny.
So I'm pretty much at the end of the game. I probably would have already finished it if the glitches weren't happening because it was also like slowing it down quite a bit. Like you'd have to wait for the dialogue and you couldn't do anything. But so I'm sure my next stream I'll probably end up finishing it up. And, at some point, I'll probably like delete all my save files, delete of that game, and delete the file itself, and re-download it and start over. And hopefully, I can play without like just by myself. Just
yeah.
Hopefully, no glitches. I don't know. So that's where I'm at for that.
Yeah, I haven't been. The other thing is, I was playing What's that game? Oh, Fall Guys. I was playing that
Yeah,
like a decent amount. That was fun.
I do
Um,
really like Fall Guys.
a cool game, cool idea for a game or whatever, something new. And it's funny, like I always think like, oh, what could I think of for a game? And then something like that comes out, and it's just like, this is so unique, and yet people are really into it. It's
Yeah,
like, where did they come up with like, it's just so simple, but yeah, it works. So it's
and
kind of
it's
funny.
like, how did I not think of this?
Right?
It's
Yeah.
so easy. It's so yeah, but it's so much fun.
Yeah.
So, have you noticed any? Is there any new gaming news or anything that you've picked up this week? It seems like it's been pretty quiet. I think.
Yeah, for the most part, I think that everyone's just kind of like waiting until the release of the consoles and then see,
Mhm.
what that all brings. I did read something on CNBC today that new games now are going to have a price jump from $60 when they're released or $59.99 to up to $70 now, which
Mhm.
it does start to get like crazy pricey, right? Like because
Yeah.
then if you also think of okay, a lot of games release like a gold edition or a platinum of like a game, and then those are already pretty expensive. Sometimes they'll be like $89 or something like that.
Mhm.
I don't really ever buy those, but there are people that do if they're really into it. So if you think of a $70 price point for just like the base, it's got to be like 100, maybe even more for like
Yeah.
a regular game. And then you start getting into like crazy money, right? Like, okay, so if I play 2 games, it's $140. And then by the time you're at 4 games, you're almost at the price of the console. It's just like, I don't know. It seems a little crazy to me. It seems a little bit much. It kind of also just makes me think of what I try to do is besides sports games, I do buy sports games pretty much when they come out. But besides
Mhm.
sports games, I try to wait a little bit until the price drops to, like $40, something like that, and then you can pick it up.
Yeah.
Unless it's something that I really, really need to play, I kind of, or like a Call of Duty, like I play that a lot, so I'll get that new. But otherwise, you can afford to wait a little bit on new releases to let that price drop. But
Mhm.
yeah, $70 is a good chunk of change to let go for a game.
I agree for the most part, except like so I don't really want to pay $70 for a game. I don't even pay 60 for a game. Like you, I
Yeah,
wait until it drops, or I'll wait for like a big sale. I'm the kind of thrifty where I usually just get games at $20.
yeah,
So like, oftentimes I'm waiting for a while before I play anything. But it's
yeah.
um. But
Well,
the
you
thing
also
is,
don't play a lot of online games either, which
no,
is a little bit
I
different because like when you have like friends online, everyone's like, "All right, let's get all buy the game together and we'll play online." But you like more the role playing strategy games, things like that, which I
yeah.
enjoy too, but a little bit more on your own gaming type situation.
I usually play single player experiences, and so with all of those, I don't need, you know,
Right.
to clan up with the
Yeah.
boys or anything.
Yeah.
So, um, but like the thing is though that I kind of get why the prices are going up because new video games have been coming out at $60 for a long time. And
Yeah.
it's like the cost of developing these games is also going up. So for to have a little bit of a price raise, like it makes sense. I still don't want to pay that and it sucks, right?
Yeah.
For the consumer, but it's also like, wow, it's about time in a way, you know?
Yeah, I was reading some article before too that was talking about that how like consistently video game prices have just been the same for so long. The
Hmm.
consoles go up and down, and depending on what's coming out, they might change. But the video game prices themselves have been going steadily for a while. So, maybe it is okay for the price increase. I'm not happy about it, but I get your point. Like the games just require so much development now, and there's so
Hmm.
much to them, almost to a fault. I think sometimes some games just get so long and so drawn out. Like it just seems like a game like Red Dead Redemption, for example. That game, like, there's so much to do in it. Like, if you actually
Yeah.
play like all the things besides just the story mode, or like, you know, when Grand Theft Auto comes out, like those games have such an expansive world, and the maps are just incredibly huge now that it becomes almost like, all right, like by the time you do like 50% of the stuff you're supposed to do, you're kind of sick of the game. You want to play something else.
Yeah.
Like, so it is um, it's interesting that the balance that they have to have, and of course, like with updates and with games and things like that, they definitely get more, um, you know, people playing or consistently playing afterwards. Yeah, and other news I heard that tomorrow they'll give an update on zombies, which I'm excited for Call of Duty. It's definitely one of those games that if you have a friend over, you play, um, and you find out all the tricks and everything like that. It's a game that you have to play a lot of different times to start learning. Well, you lose, but start learning all these different tips and tricks and things like that in order to level up and in order to get to the next stage of the game. It's a lot of fun. It's probably the best zombie experience in a game. Yeah, I would think, like, I'm trying to think of zombie games. I wouldn't like looking for zombie games before this. Like, not a ton of them. A lot of them revolve around like shopping malls and things like that. It always seems
Yeah.
like it's like,
That's what Dead Rising is
yeah,
very
Dead Rising, right? Yeah,
and
yeah,
Last of Us is technically a zombie game.
yeah.
Um,
Well, there was some other game too that
Left 4 Dead's a really fun one.
yeah,
I
Left
like
4
that.
Dead. Yep.
I'm not good at it though.
Yeah.
Uh, there's another one. Oh, I remember. Didn't you play? What was that one that came out last year where you're like the biker guy?
Yeah. Oh, what is that game called? I forget. I forget what it's called now.
Me too. Was that even any good?
Yeah, it was actually decent.
Okay,
Um,
because
but
the reviews for it weren't very favorable.
I don't
But
think, well, like the storyline isn't great.
okay,
And the thing that like gets annoying about games like that in general is it's like, okay, go take over this checkpoint or like
Mm,
area, and then you move on to the next, like go take over this area and stuff like that. So like the storyline and everything like that was not very good, but the actual like zombie part where you have to like ride around and like fight off the zombies. You got huge, they call them like hordes of zombies that are in one area or whatever. That was like crazy and cool. But also, if you see like one of those big hordes and they're coming at you, like it's pretty impossible to stop like that amount of zombies, so you almost die
mhm.
like every time, or you have to end up like running away or whatever. It's but it was cool. I wish I could remember the name of it right now, but
Yeah,
anyway,
I have my phone. I'll figure it out.
yeah. Another in other news, so Microsoft had the purchase of, how do you pronounce it? I always mess it up.
Bethesda,
Bethesda. Okay, Bethesda for, what do we say, $7.5 billion,
$7.5 billion.
which is crazy. It's it always seems like with purchases of companies now, when big purchases like that happen, they like one up each other.
Yeah,
Like, you know, like you hear about like $1 billion company and then 2 billion and now we're at $7.5 billion. It's a big investment by Microsoft, but with that, they're getting a lot of games. A lot of games that are played on both platforms, and Microsoft has already kind of said, okay, like some of the games that we have well, actually it was the CEO of Bethesda that said
that's
this.
Todd Howard, right?
Yeah, so he said that Microsoft would honor um like some releases at the beginning of PS5, but
Mhm.
then other games like Fallout, Elder Scrolls, Starfield, perhaps Doom, those games he didn't see like why they would release them to both consoles, which, you know, you could see Sony kind of doing something similar. Well, they already kind of do, right? Like
Yeah,
they, you know, they have Spider-Man, things like that. Is Spider-Man available on Xbox? No.
No,
So
Sony's very big on their exclusives,
yeah, so
and
it's
I
not.
don't think it's a bad move.
Yeah,
I think people will be disappointed for sure, but
yeah.
um, like if I don't get access to a new Doom, yeah, I'm gonna be disappointed. But it's honestly, it's a smart move.
Right, yeah. It's a good move for them. It's I you kind of hope that they don't buy up more companies like that because obviously like Microsoft has enough money they could buy up like 20 different companies like this
Right.
and just kind of, and Sony could do the same thing too, but then come into this world of okay, now I got to choose, which console, and then maybe I need to pick both. I need to buy both consoles. It becomes very expensive for the consumer, but it did seem like with crossplay and things like that, and especially like recently, like they're kind of poking fun of each other. That almost like Microsoft and Sony are just like, okay with not having a console war. So it
Yeah.
is kind of interesting seeing the them buying a company like this. But then again, Sony does the same thing, so
Mhm.
it's a smart move. We'll see. But that's pretty much all we had for gaming news. Not a ton going right now, and like I said, until the consoles come out, there's not going to be.
Not a whole lot. No.
Yeah,
By the
look
way,
out.
it's Days Gone.
Oh, Days Gone. Yep, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, not a bad game. I didn't finish it. I probably got about halfway through. It
I haven't
was
played it at all yet. So.
yeah, it's a decent. The other thing that gets annoying is like your bike will break down. It's very realistic to that. Like your bike will break down. You got to go find like other parts for it and things like that. That gets a little monotonous and like
That
annoying.
does sound kind of like a nuisance,
Yeah,
honestly.
like you have to watch your gas meter, like for the bike. Like it's just like, things that actually would happen if there was a zombie apocalypse, like that you would have
Right.
to pay attention. But just things in a video game world, like you don't want to have to pay attention to.
I it's so dumb to complain about this, but I hate in video games when you have a car and your car runs out of gas. It's like
Yeah,
just let me drive. Come on.
yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, like I already have to do these stupid things in real life, like go to gas stations. I don't want to have to do that in a video game. I play a
exactly.
video game to escape the real world. I don't want to have to like live in the
Next
real world.
next when you go to get gas, they're gonna have you pay for it too.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be realistic prices. You gotta
Yeah.
you gotta have the little mini game so you put the nozzle in your
Yeah, they make you use
tank
like
and
Sony points or like whatever to like pay for the gas in
the
the
gift
car.
cards.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that would be ridiculous.
All right, so
Speaking of ridiculous.
you had like a little type of game you wanted to play.
Yeah. All right. So I had a lot of fun coming up with this, and I hope you had fun with this too.
Yeah, it was harder than what I thought because I was really
Mhm.
trying to like think of but anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. All right. So we we are going to pitch video games to each other. New
Yep.
video games. We have three different categories. We'll take turns with each category. And you prepared yours ahead of time. I prepared mine ahead of time. The first category we'll look at either a reboot or like a sequel to a series.
Yep.
For the second one, we'll do like a game based on a TV show or a movie or a book or a comic or something. And then for the third one, which this was a little harder for me, or you would think it would be a little harder for me, a sports game.
Yep.
But this was actually the first one I came up with. So,
Okay. Yep.
but let's start. I'd like to hear your pitch for a new sequel or remake.
Okay, so I did look. They did have this game kind of come out. I never have played it. But I think that would be really cool is like a Deadpool game.
Okay.
I know that they released like some game, but I don't know when it was. I think it was a while ago. It might have been in like 2016, something like that. And it didn't seem like it got very good reviews and wasn't that good. I watched like a little bit of the gameplay of it and the trailer, and it seemed very like goofy and like more like like cartoon like
It,
ish, like weird things like that.
it was an all right game.
Oh, you played it?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, so what did you think of it?
It was. I mean, it was fine. It was a hack and slash game with
Yeah.
shooting mechanics too, and I liked those. But like, the humor felt very immature. Like,
Yeah.
and I get that that's Deadpool, right? But it just felt kind of over the top. It wasn't for
Yeah.
me.
Yeah, so that's kind of like the remake that I would like to see is like less of that, and like because his humor is like it's funny and it's like kind of like goofy, but it's not like I think they had like huge blow up things and they have like weird stuff like that in it, or like just like weird weapon, like over the top weapon things
Yeah.
that aren't realistic and stuff. So I'd like to see like a more like edgy like game for that anyway. That was like I like the the movies and everything like that. So I'd like, and they made that interesting enough that I think that it would be a cool video game. They'd have to, in my mind, like make it a little less comedic and more like
Mhm.
edgy on him. But anyway,
Yeah. So I went with a sequel. So like I first, did you ever play? Did you ever play the new God of War,
yeah,
or any of the God of War games for that
yeah,
matter? So like the new God of War, kind of like it was basically a sequel, but it was kind of a reboot too, where it was like a new story and it had connections to the old one, but it was its own separate thing too.
yeah,
So I'm not pitching God of War because that's already still going. They're all good with that. But in a similar way, I want a new Dead Space. So Dead Space is like the first horror game I ever played, and you play as Isaac Clarke, who's a mechanic he's an engineer, and he's going to a spaceship to fix it, but he gets caught up in this whole thing where now there are aliens trying to kill him. And it's terrifying and it's a lot of fun. And the second game was just as terrifying and even more disturbing. And then the third game, they made it like you have like the first two games you're isolated, you're always alone, right? And then in
yeah,
the third game they made it to be like a co-op shooter, and it wasn't as scary. Like some of the monsters were still really cool, but it wasn't as scary.
yeah,
So I'd like to see something that kind of continues that story, goes back to the roots. Also, like Resident Evil 7 is another good example where it was a sequel, but it kept like it kind of went back to form.
yeah,
Um, so, like for a new Dead Space, I'd want to see you play as a different character. Let's leave Isaac alone, and it's like the same kind of thing. Maybe you're a mechanic, or maybe it's another engineer, or whatever. But somebody who's not a soldier getting caught up in this scary nonsense again. I loved the feeling of playing the first one, and I'd love to see what a new Dead Space would be like
yeah.
with like today's mechanics and stuff
I
like
don't
that.
think I ever played the game. I can't remember. I did play God of War. I've played all the God of War games, so really good games. But Dead Space, I haven't played. But yeah, I like in the God of War that they added like the son. I
Yeah,
thought that was like kind of cool, like to play as him too, and like add that and see like what's the guy's name, the main character. I'm bad with names.
Kratos.
So, yeah,
Kratos.
yeah, Kratos. So to see him like also kind of be like a dad was kind of like an interesting part of it. Like,
Yeah. And see, that's one of the things that I like about the idea for Dead Space is that like I kind of like the idea of a little bit of a tone shift, maybe make it a little more mature or something, but like Dead Space is already terrifying, right?
yeah,
So
yeah,
maybe give it a little more heart, I guess. But still make it a really scary game.
yeah,
Like that was one of the cool things I really liked about the first one was that like the first weapon you have isn't really a weapon. It's a plasma cutter that was essentially like a saw tool or something. It was used for being an engineer,
yeah.
but you have to use it to cut off alien limbs and stuff. And it was just a really cool game.
All right, yeah,
So
yeah. That sounds cool. I'll have to check it out. Hopefully, they do a sequel or remake. What did you say? Basically, like a sequel.
kind of both, yeah.
Yeah,
Basically a sequel, but like start over, new characters, everything.
yeah.
So yeah, that would be really cool. There have been rumors about there being a new Dead Space for a while, but who knows if it will actually happen. And I probably won't get my exact wishes for it, but
Yeah.
if EA wants to hire me to write a new Dead Space, I'm your guy.
All right. Yeah.
Uh, all right. So what do you got for an adaptation? So a book, a movie, TV show, whatever.
Okay. So I first started off with like Hunger Games because I thought that
Ooh.
it would be cool to have like a game like that. But then I thought, well, with like games coming out today, they kind of already have that kind of like feel to it. Like Fortnite is kind of like that
The
already.
Battle Royale.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I would like to see something that's more like you actually pick, like, okay, you're gonna be like a hunter with like a bow or like some special like traits, and you have to follow that instead of just being able to like pick whatever weapons you want and just be
Mhm.
able to do anything. And I've only played Fortnite like one time. It's not for me. It's not the game for me. Um, I think it's a little cartoony and a little, I don't know, a little
I,
weird. But anyway, that's like a whole nother thing. Have you ever played it?
I got into it for a little bit, but I wasn't very good at building.
Yeah.
Like I just wanted to go in and start shooting people, but if you're not building, then you're only playing half the game. So it just didn't work for me.
Yeah. But the one that I settled on was Stranger Things.
Ooh.
I just think that that'd be like a really cool. I love the show on Netflix. I love
Hmm.
it's like really it's awesome this time of year when they release like the season or whatever, and you get to
Yeah.
just like watch it, like binge watch it all the way through basically. And like I think that it would be really cool with um and it'd be a cool like fun almost like teenage like kid kind of game for kids to play. And I think that adults would like it too, because it's not only mainly I think a lot of adults are watching the show. So and I like that feeling of like going back to that time period and things like that. It just feels like it's just a nice show to watch like this time of year and everything, especially with the monsters and everything like that. And Halloween, it's pretty cool to
Yeah.
see that. And I think that with the amount of characters that they have on the show, there's a lot of different storylines, kind of like a Last of Us kind of gameplay that they could
Hmm.
do something like that. So that's my um,
I
show
would
into a game.
I would be really on board for that. From what I understand, so Telltale Studios did have a deal to make Stranger Things into a game
Yeah.
before Telltale went out of business. Now, Telltale has been bought out by a different company. I think it was Skybound, but they still exist in another form. I don't know if that game's still on the table. I don't
Yeah.
know if that contract's still active because, I mean, the company technically went out of business and is now owned by somebody else.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's happening. I heard something about there maybe being a Stranger Things game, but I haven't seen any like announcements or anything. So
Yeah.
you could get your wish.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that it's a matter of time that they're just gonna make it. Like it's kind of one of those that isn't really that far off. I mean,
No.
especially with the the viewership of Stranger Things and everything like that, like it just seems like a natural fit that they would make a game. So I think that will eventually like come. So
If
yeah.
Actually, I just realized if I'm not mistaken, there might actually be one on PS4, but it's like
Oh really?
a platformer, like a 16-bit retro style.
Oh
Like, and
okay.
it kind of fits the aesthetic, But I think that what you're looking for is more of like a 3D
Yeah.
adventure. Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be
So,
cool.
um, so my choice for that, I was a little specific here because I picked Power Rangers. Right,
Okay.
I to this day I still love Power Rangers. I'm a
Really?
grown adult, and I so it's been a while since I've really been keeping up on it. But like, I guess it was 7 years ago, so it's been a while. But I spent like a year just watching all of the Power Rangers,
Wow.
and I still love it. I grew up on it. I mean, it's goofy and it's made for kids, but I really enjoy it. Right.
Yeah.
So there have been a lot of Power Rangers video games. So that's where I'm being a little more specific here. So I want a Power Rangers game that plays like Dynasty Warriors or like the Hyrule
Yeah.
Warriors game. I want one of those. Have a selection of Power Rangers. The Red Ranger from the original, or like the Green Ranger from like 10 years ago, or like there's so many different. They've been doing Power Rangers consistently for like 25 years or
Yeah.
something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like there are so many characters to choose from, and so you get to pick your character and you run through hordes of the little disposable bad guys and then end it with a boss fight for each level. Like that just seems like so much fun, and it could be a good game like even if you don't like Power Rangers,
Yeah, that's true. It's definitely a game that anybody could play.
Yeah,
I wonder if people would like not want to play it because it's Power
because it's
Rangers.
Power Rangers.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there's actually like a pretty big Power Rangers fan base,
Oh
even
yeah.
for like my age group, you know,
Yeah.
because we grew up on it and we loved the Power
Yeah, I
Rangers.
watched it when I was a kid. I
Yeah.
was a Power Rangers fan back in the day. I kind of lost interest, but yeah, I was back in the day.
Well,
I was definitely into it.
I think I was a bit of a an anomaly in that sense,
Yeah,
just keeping up on it. Like in high school, we were supposed to write a research paper about whatever we wanted, and I picked to write about the Power Rangers,
really.
and it was the best essay I ever wrote.
Yeah. Were you have you ever dressed up in Power Rangers like for Halloween or anything?
No, because the costumes were like expensive and stuff.
Yeah.
My mom usually made costumes herself or whatever, so
Yeah.
that was one we never did. But what I did do is in high school, actually, I had a toy morpher that went on your wrist, and I would wear that to school.
Oh god.
Like I was that kid,
That's
yeah.
another level.
Yeah, no, it was like I had this funny idea of like, so the old school, like the original morphers would be like, had like a belt clip.
Yeah.
And I wanted to get one of those, and I was telling my friend about it, and he was like, "Well, I don't have one of those, but I was cleaning out my room the other day, and I found this toy I had, and whatever, and he brought it to me, and I was like, heck yeah, I'm wearing this all the time." And it was from when one of the years where Power Rangers used cars
Yeah.
instead of like dinosaurs, so it had like a little key that you could put into the side and like start the engine or whatever. It was so stupid. And I was like 15, 16, and I was wearing that thing unironically.
Yeah. Well, that's why I love you, Benny.
Yeah, well,
You don't give a shit about
I guess I don't. Yeah. All right. So let's look at this. Okay. I wanted to see if you got a sports game for me.
All right, this one was probably I did think of again. I kind of had like two that I was thinking of, and I picked this other one. But a cricket game would be really cool,
Ooh.
because they do have something already kind of made, so that's why I didn't end up going with it. But a cricket game would be cool, if they actually like got a real, sports what do I want to say, like company to make the game or whatever, like an actual like serious MLB type style game. I like watching cricket on TV every once in a while when it's like when I can actually find a game. Most of them I have to watch online, but it's a huge sport like in the world, like probably ranked like second in the world. I mean in India and like other countries in England and everything, like they have like they fill stadiums like way more people than go to like football games or baseball
Yeah.
games here. It's a huge sport, and it would I think they definitely have the following for it. Just it doesn't seem like any game has really been like that worthwhile for it. Has some interesting rules, but the one that I actually liked a little bit better was like backyard games.
Okay.
I think it would be really cool, like if you had like kind of you could play with your friends and things like that, and like make teams, and it would be like backyard, like typical games like badminton, cornhole, like games like that, like all like more skill based games, but make them really tough.
That sounds
And
like
just
that
have
sounds
to like
great.
play against like other people. So that's kind of more like make a team kind of thing and play against other people online. It's that type of thing.
That sounds. I didn't know what I was expecting from you. That's really clever. Like I kind of think of you could do it kind of like Fall Guys, where like the level is random,
Yeah.
and then it's like, oh, now you're playing darts.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
now you're playing cornhole. You know?
Yeah, you have to be good at like all these different ones that weren't just necessarily like, your own only thing is cornhole. No, like you gotta play badminton, you gotta play like all these like random things. It's one of those that you see like at Walmart that's like, $5 that like
Yeah.
just ended up like doing horribly. But like I think if they did it well and like actually got like maybe just released it free online like a Fall Guys thing, like something like that, people could get into it.
And you get that game just for the croquet.
Yeah.
Okay, so I went a little weird with this one because, for one thing, the sports I do pay attention to, which is very little, are already going to have video games.
Yeah.
So I went. It's not technically active anymore, but I went with Slam Ball, which was Spike TV
Yeah.
back in 2002. Started their own basketball league,
Yeah.
and basketball with trampolines. and like it was so dangerous and such a bad idea that it would be the perfect thing to do as a video game
Yeah.
with like offensive moves and everything. Like that was another thing, is that they were so relaxed about like people knocking other people down and like out of the air. Like I want that in my game.
Yeah. I watched a whole documentary on that about the guy who like created it and how it was like
Really?
close to becoming like a real sport and like everything like that. And it was really interesting. Like
Man.
I watched it a few times. I was like into it. It's kind of like, because you're right, like they added like all this like tackling and stuff to basically basketball. It, like did not make like really like much sense, but at the same time it was awesome to like see it played. Like, so yeah.
Yeah, when it initially came out, I was like 11 or 12, and I wanted to be a slam ball player. I thought that
Yeah.
looked so fun. So I went to my friend's house one time, and he had 2 trampolines. So we set up these trampolines and his like 2 basketball hoops, and we're trying to play slam ball.
Yeah.
And it was such a bad idea because he's like, we're trying to knock each other down, and I think I fell off the trampoline. And
Yeah. Yeah.
like, I would love that as a video game.
Yeah, the thing that was cool about it too is that like people that weren't that tall, right? Like, cause like basketball has definitely become this sport where you have to be like 6'9" in order to play, basically. Yeah. Like, there's very few, unless you're extremely athletic and you like are, you know, amazing at basketball. There are extremely few players that are like 6 feet or like under.
Yeah.
So with slam ball, like it allowed people that were like 6 feet or under to be able to play because they could get on the trampoline. It wouldn't matter because they're just as high as like everybody else, which is, you know, it was cool. It was a cool game. I think that like the whole like dribbling and then it was a mess, but it would be definitely a cool game to play. It's like reminds me of like almost like a Rocket League or something like that, where it's like, you know, like fast paced scoring, like things like that. Have you ever played that before?
I love Rocket League.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Actually, you know what? Going back to news real quick, Rocket League went free to play this week.
Oh, really? That's cool.
Yeah. So, I mean,
I think that's how it started out originally.
I think the day it came out, it went on Plus for free.
Yeah, yeah.
But I think that, like, you know, in general, it was, you know, pay to play or whatever.
Yeah.
But it was never very much. Like, I think I paid $15 for it. And but now it's free to play, and so I mean that's kind of neat. I got it on my Switch now because of that, but like I already had it on my PlayStation. So
it's on Switch. I should look at that. That's a fun game. In Fall Guys, they have their own kind of like, it's not like with cars, but you have to protect the.
Oh yeah.
You know, it's the soccer with the huge balls, and you have to like protect the goals and everything like that, and work with your team and everything. That's the thing about like Rocket League, is like you have to be playing with people that like know what they're doing, because it gets like kind of crazy. But
or you'll play really with people
getting the goal like in midair, kind of. That's awesome. But
yeah, or you like play with people who are like ball hogs, and they'll just go for it, and you're like, no, wait.
Yeah, play the actual game. Yeah.
All right. Well, I think those are some good pitches. Of your 3, I'd probably be the most interested in your Stranger Things game.
Yeah.
I would play the heck out of that. But, I mean, they all sounded pretty neat, you know?
Yeah, I think that the last one that you said, but I like the Dead Spaces because I never played that game. I'd like to like get into it and play it. It would be kind of cool. But the slam ball or whatever, it seems like a cool game that would definitely be like high scoring, everything like that. That would be a lot of fun to play. Yeah. But
it'd be a really good game for like just jumping into an online match and just, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just seems like it'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that like, again, I think a Stranger Things game is coming, so we'll probably both get our wish there and be able to play it.
Yep.
So that would be kind of cool. But anyway, I think that kind of wraps up this week's episode. But again, check out the link in the description. Check out Ice Shaker. Make sure to go to their site with the link and check out their cool products. And you're listening to the Bonus Boss podcast. And thanks, and we'll see you next week. Cheers.
Bye.